Namaste everyone. If you can um, yeah, you can hear me. You have to tell me on the YouTube only because there's no one. I'm only live on YouTube. Okay, so we will start in a minute. Since we are meeting for Guru Purnima today, in our tradition, it is a very auspicious day for whoever wants to pursue Shastric study, any Shastric study. It is a day where we are remembering the entire lineage of teachers, acharyas, gurus, who have striven in their life and not only striven for their own digestion of the knowledge, but also striven to propagate the knowledge. It can be any Shastra, Natya Shastra also. It can be Artha Shastra. Since we acknowledge that we do not gain knowledge only on our own effort. Knowledge coming to one's life, a lot of factors play. There's a lot of grace involved. In common language, in Charvaka's language, I would say it is luck. But in Shastra's language, it would be grace. Am I loud enough? Also, please let me know. If I'm not too loud, then I can raise my voice because we're just setting it up. So this day becomes important in that sense that we get an opportunity to remember even those unknown to us directly. Okay, thank you. Even unknown to us directly, but must have contributed if the knowledge has come up to me. If my vessel is holding the capacity to take the knowledge, then there is a giver of that knowledge, because my vessel has to be empty for the knowledge to pour in. So there has been givers of this knowledge. They share it just purely for the sake of acknowledging, knowing that this is an extremely valuable knowledge which they uphold, whichever branch, as I said, it could be, because they know the value of that knowledge. They hand it down, they pass it out to others to benefit from it also. So today is one such day, and we are extremely grateful, is not enough word for all of us, that this Shastra has come to our lives. Vedanta Shastra has come to our lives. So we just take a minute, remember your own gurus, wherever, whoever you feel has contributed to your life, and it's just a thankful heart that is enough to keep the knowledge being received continuously in our life. So we take 1 minute, and I'll also chant the most popular common mantra. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So let us start. The topic chosen for today's talk is based on Charvaka Darshan. Is it a heterodox philosophy or is it basal? Some people have said they don't understand the topic name itself. I appreciate this because heterodox, as we go ahead, we'll see. Basal, I mean to say, is it is the very foundation, it is the base, it's the very beginning. Thinking that is available in the very beginning stages of one's capacity to think. So, from that standpoint, it is Charvaka Darshan a heterodox philosophy, darshan, or is it just basal? This we will see, hopefully, as we move ahead. Charvaka darshan is given another name. It is called Nastika Shiromani. Shiromani means amongst all the Nastikas, schools of thought, amongst all Nastikas, Charvaka is the superior most. Shiromani. He is the one on whom Taj rakh sakte ho. Means he is the pinnacle of all the Nastikas. Nastika Shiromani. They are also referred to as materialists. Materialist, our idea is, people who are wanting material wealth and all that. Materialist refers to those who believe only in matter as a reality. Matter is the only reality, and those who accept this are materialists. Charvakas have also been given another name, atheists. We'll see this as we go ahead. Basic premise with which they start. This is a very famous slok which kind of summarizes their entire darshan, their entire philosophy. Yavat jivam sukham jivet nasti mrityoho agocharaha bhasmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanam kutaha. Yavat jivam, जब तक जी रहे हैं, as long as life is there. Yavat, up to the point jivam, there is life that we have. How should you live? What should be your outlook to life? What should you be looking forward to? What should you be aspiring for? Sukham jivet. Aram se jiyo. Live in sukh. Sukh se jiyo. The tone is that. Sukh se jiyo. Nasti. Mrityoho agocharaha. Mrityoho, on death, nasti. You're not there after that. Agocharaha, you become imperceptible. You disappear. So you don't no longer have existence after death. Mrityaha agocharaha. Once there is death, you're gone, finished. That's it. So as long as there is life, that is your time frame. Anand se jiyo, sukh se jiyo. Then he gives a reason to collaborate his premise. The reason he gives is, how can you say that you won't come back? And his reason is, Hasmi bhutasya dehasya. Dehasya deh ka, this body ka. Hasmi bhutasya. Once it's gone to ashes, once his body is burnt, once there is death of the body is burnt, it has come to ashes. Punaha agamanam. Coming back. Kutaha. How is it going to be possible? Because the locus of your life is the body. And if the body has disappeared into ashes, then how is it possible to come back? This is their fundamental beginning. A similar verse is also recognized with a little variation. Yavat jivet sukham jivet. Same as the first verse. As long as there is life, live happily. If for some reason you have to live happily, there are obstacles, cover them up, overcome them. How? Rinam kritva. Even if you have to take rin means loans. Even if you have to take rinam, take loans, do anything. Take loans, but kritam pibet. Drink ghee. Ghee, because it's expensive, pure ghee is expensive. So according to them, to live happily means have your food with ghee, because food is going to be very important for them. Kritam pibet. Drink ghee. Means you drink, not just drink ghee. Even if you have to take loans to buy ghee. Why? Same reason. Bhasmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanam kutaha. How are you going to come back? There is no coming back that you have to repay someone afterwards. There is no carry forward of anything over here once your life is gone. This between birth and death is your only life, and live it as happily, freely, enjoying your life, masti mein, majja se, pura. Have no heed to any consequences, because there are no consequences after death. There is nothing. You are gone, and that's it. Charvaka darshan. So that's the basic premise which we are going to go ahead and see in fair details, hopefully. But before that, Charvaka darshan. Darshan word has been translated as schools of thought of Indian philosophy kind of a thing. Correct in its place, but darshan means, it's usually used in a very commonsensical way, popular way. किसी महात्मा का दर्शन करना, to see something auspicious, to behold something valuable. Darshan karna itself is par lagna kind of a thing. But darshan word actually comes from the root drish. Drish means to see, to perceive, to behold. Darshana word here with schools of thought means seeing it from a particular viewpoint, standpoint, perspective, the angle of perception. Are the fonts readable? Yeah, very okay. The angle from which you see. Now, what angle is taken to view something? Nowadays, we have a huge uproar about the Ashoka, the heads of the Simhas. Angle from where you see, your vision can change. So, Darshana is what angle are you seeing from to hold the premises of the philosophy that you're going to present forward. For anything to be qualified as a darshana system of knowledge, it's a system of knowledge. For anything to be qualified, it should address the various aspects pertaining to human experience. You call it anubhava, call it anubhuti. Your human experience, human beings, Homo sapiens, are in ignorance. That's a fact. We don't know where we have come from. We don't know when we die. We don't know anything about ourselves. We don't know anything about the world. We literally know very, 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 very little. So there have been attempts, they will remain, attempts to understand what are we experiencing. And therefore, For something to become a system of knowledge, to be accepted, it must cover all the basic experiences that a Homo sapien goes through. Like, you wake up, you see a world around you, you see differences around you, you see there is birth, there is death, you see there is consciousness, you see people are suffering, there are various causes of different kinds of sufferings, different intensities of sufferings. You also find that there is a deep desire to avoid suffering, to have happiness. So a darshan gets recognition when it is successfully able to build a model of information which addresses these experiences in a way that the counter perspectives, when they are presented to the school of thought, they can defend their standpoint with reason and example. So, nature of existence or consciousness. For a system to become a philosophical school, reliable, trustworthy, that I can depend on, that I can follow, it must address the nature of existence and consciousness. It must give me the answer for that. It must address the nature of the world, cause of the world, cause of suffering, what is the way out, what is the method of freedom, and defend their standpoint with proper reason. Defend is the word. That means there will be Purva Paksha, another standpoint, where they will present their point, and that needs to be addressed with examples and establish their matam. Now, Charvaka, as we said, is called an atheist. Atheist in English actually means those who don't believe in God. But our definition is not an atheist, it's a Nastika. What is a Nastika? Vyasa defines a Nastika as Vedaha Nindakaha Nastikaha. Vedaha Nindakaha. The ones who do Ninda of Ved. Ninda means they discard it, they dismiss it. The ones who dismiss the Veda is a Nastika. Whatever is given in the Vedas. Who is on the other hand an Astika? The one who accepts Veda as authority. So we have 6 schools of Astika and 3 are primary schools of Nastika, but we have, like Buddhism has more branches, we have more schools of Nastikas also in that sense. And Charvaka is not accepting Veda as a Praman. It doesn't accept the Veda knowledge given in the Vedas or the model that the Veda offers to human beings about all this that we just finished saying. Panini grammar, Panini, who has written Sanskrit grammar, who made the sutras for the grammar, he has defined it in a very interesting way also. He says, Asti nasti dishtam matihi. Hai nahi hai. That who sees it, the one who sees it, asti nasti iti dishtam, asti paraloka iti evam matihi, yasya saha astikaha. The one who is asti paralokaha. Vedas talk about life after death, coming back, rebirth, based on karma. In other contexts, we have seen all these. So these basic principles that the Veda accepts, transmigration based on karma, soul is anadi, soul as in jivatvam is anadi, has an ananta with Brahmagyan. Predominant. Different schools, different models, but fundamental, this is the way it goes. Through karmas, purify yourself, gain knowledge of who you are, and that's how you end. And it has answered all the other questions. So, asti paralokaha iti evam asti matihi. Asti paralok, haan hai. There is something life after death is there. Those who accept this. Saha astikaha. Nasti iti mataha. Yasya saha. Who holds this matam that there is no life after death. Saha nastikaha. So in this there is some debates. Therefore, the next, what I just said, Vyasa's definition completes it to say Vedaha Nindakaha Nastikaha. He is the one who is a Nastik who will not accept Vedas. Founder, there is a lot of debate on who really is the founder. One of the accepted ones is Brihaspati. But who is this Brihaspati? Was he the Brihaspati who was the God's teacher of gods and who helped Devtas, and therefore he wrote this or he propagated this so that the Asuras got defeated? But these are stories. Brihaspati is accepted as a founder of this. His student is said to be Charavak. His name was Charavak. Charavak made it into a darshana. Brahaspatya sutras were there to give out the knowledge of the Brihaspati's darshan. But all of them are lost. Charavaka, he propagated this so much. He made it available. It had spread a lot. There are instances that it had gone really far from other sources of material as far as West and East, and the darshan had spread a lot. Because it had spread a lot also, it became Charavaka darshan based on the student who had spread it. And Loka Ayata means it is spread. Ayata means sab jagah hai. It is popular acceptance in Loka, in world. How this became so popular is probably because there was this whole surge. That's what is written. How right or wrong doesn't matter. It is the whole knowledge became popular because a common man could relate to this more directly than he could relate to the Vedic studies. And it was not accessible to everybody. So Charavak and the way they presented, it became absolutely popular very fast because it became a common language. An ordinary person also found it easy to relate to. And so they could nod, ha, 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 ha. And so they started accepting it. But it never grew as a darshan in the sense that how other darshans are, like Vedanta darshan, Mimamsa darshan, Yoga darshan, Sankhya darshan. It's remained in its basic premises that it had, that are left because Brahaspatya Sutra is lost and almost entire knowledge is now not available. It's not, the body of that knowledge has been lost completely. The only two sources that people still look upon depend to get the view of what the Charvaka Darshan was, and these are two authors, Haribhadra Suri and Sayana Madhavacharya. These two people have accepted, collected that and put it forward into few sutras. Haribhadra Suri, 6th or 7th century, Sarva Darshana Samuchaya, he wrote. And Sarva Darshana Sangraha by Sayana Madhavacharya in the 14th century. The approach these two authors have is slightly different, and that is what also brings to the topic today. Sayana Madhavacharya starts with Charvaka and then builds one school over the other, saying that they are evolutionary thoughts. So Charvaka in Buddhism, etc. it goes, and Vedanta is the last. So Charvaka is the primal, basal, and Vedanta becomes the last. Haribhadra Suri doesn't take that method. It is possible that he doesn't take it because a lot earlier, 6th, 7th century. To understand this, I thought we will just go straight to the books itself. The books that these are there, and straight away study from there only. So what is a Charvaka Darshan? This is Haribhadra Suri, which I'm going to take first. Haribhadra Suris, it's about 85, 87 verses in which he's given the entire, I'll have to, he's given the entire, all darshanas in small verses. I hope you can see the verses now. So I'm not going to go into too much of foundational grounds. It's all there. One can go because we'll just come to the text. Their main precepts, tenets that they talk of is earth, water, fire, and air are the four elements. First point here at the bottom. Earth, water, fire are the four elements. Then body, senses, and objects are the results of the different combinations of elements. Third, consciousness arises from matter, like the intoxicating quality of wine arising from fermented yeast. All these are going to be explained. I'm giving an overview from how the author gives. Soul is nothing but conscious body. Fifth, enjoyment is the only end of human life. And sixth, death itself is liberation. These are the basics over here. The author starts, first he just says, why am I including Charvaka Darshan? Because it's not an Astika Darshan, not for us. In the 80th verse of his book, he says, Lokayata vadanti evam. The Lokayata mata, Charvaka mata, vadanti, say in this manner, Nasti devaha, there is no gods. Na nivrittihi, there is no moksha. Dharma adharma na vidyate, there is neither dharma nor adharma. Na phalam means there is no phal. Na punya na papaha. Therefore, no dharma adharma, no punya, na papaha. Are you able to see the text, please? Someone can just mention. Till then I'll continue. So, what is the basic thing? Charvakas say there are no gods. There is no liberation. There is no dharma dharma. There is no phalam, no karma. Dharma dharma, no karma, no phalam. And therefore there is no punya papaha as well. Then he continues. Okay, thanks. Then he says, if all this doesn't exist, thank you, Shaili. If all this doesn't exist, then what is there? Etavan eva. The answer they give is Etavan eva lokaha ayam. This widespread world around you. Etavan, yahi, this. Lokaha ayam, this world. Etavan, this much only is there. How much is this much? Yavan, as much. Indriya gocharaha, as much as your indriyas can reach, as much as your senses can comprehend. That much world is only there that your senses can perceive. Bhadre, Bhadre, he's referring to a lady. To say, oh, good, noble lady. He's trying to, the author here is telling those people who must be falling for rituals and things like, he says, Bhadre, oh, noble lady, don't fall for all this. Why? Because what all these people do is, Vrika padam pashya. She's not seen a paw of a wolf. She doesn't know what it is. So, they draw that paw of the wolf on the ground, on a say, sand, and then they say, this is a paw of the wolf. And then the lady said, people start believing this is the paw of the wolf. So he says, Vrika padam pashya. See, this is the paw of the wolf. Yat vadanti. This is how they say. Bahushrutaha. They say, heard variously. All these people who are luring a common man by concepts like dharma, adharma, punya, papa, lokaha, swargaha, narakaha. And if you don't do these karmas, this is the fall of it. You will, and all this that they are saying is drawing the paw on a sand because it's not verifiable in your senses, and so they are luring you. They are religion clad rogues. Materialists call these religion clad rogues the others who are trying to attract, not very clear. They are trying to, now, they are trying to attract people by giving some vague ideas which they only understand and no proof of it, but they will weave a story in such a way that you get enticed by it and then therefore you start following it. So he's telling, a Charvak is telling, oh noble lady, this is how they say. This is 81, then 82 verse he says, so then what should be done? He says, Piba khada jata shobhane. Jata shobhane is a good lady again. Shobhan jo deti hai, by birth who is pleasing, nice. He says, Piba khada. Don't worry, just drink and eat. Piba, drink, eat. O jata shobhane, oh good lady, oh beautiful one. Yat atitam varagatri. Yat atitam. What is there beyond atit? Yat atitam varagatri. Tat na tehe. He says, what is there beyond this body? Don't fall for it. It is not for you. Don't. Oh, beautiful one. Varagatri is superior one. Exalted one. Oh, beautiful one. Don't fall for it. Then he says, Nahi bhiru. Na gatam nivartate hi bhiru. Bhiru is beautiful lady. Na gatam nivartate. Once you're gone, you don't come back. Why? Samudaya matram idam kalevaram. This kalevaram means body. This body is nothing but samudaya matram. It is an aggregate. That's it. This body is only an aggregate. Then he says, see how the premise he is building in these verses. He's going to give more in the second book also. We'll see. I hope I can take it in the time. So, Piba is what? Peya, apeya. Nirapekshaya, madiradikam piba. What is to be drunk, not drunk, irrespective of it. What is to be consumed, not consumed, like madira, etc. Drink. Adharadikam va. Khada, what is it? He says, bhakshya bhaksham nirapeksha. Mamsadikam khada. You can eat mamsa, what is to be consumed, not consumed, don't worry about it. That is all topic of dharma, dharma. There's nothing like this. So eat what jo man mein aata hai, khao. Simple words. Jo man kare wo khao. Whether it is to be had, not had, this day not had, that day not had, mangalwar hai isliye nahi khate. Don't worry about all this. Just eat whatever is to come. Bhogadi upabhogam vakuru. Whatever you can enjoy, upabhoga, you can consume. Do that. Bhogadi, whatever means of enjoyment that you have, enjoy. Then he says, means in other words, do not take the trouble of performing penances. Don't torture yourself for rigorous practices, etc. Because this body is only an aggregate of what he's giving in the next verse. If it's an aggregate, samuha, then it is formed by something. What is it formed by? He says, Kincha prithvi jalam tejaha vayuhu bhuta chatushtayam. There are only 4 elements. A very big difference. Four elements are only there because those four elements are the only ones that the senses perceive. What are the four elements? Earth, water, fire and air. Prithvi, Jal, Teja, Vayuhu, Chatushtayam. These four. Chaitanya Bhumihi Etesham Manam Pakshajam Evahi. Says Chaitanya Bhumihi. This Chaitanyam that is there has arisen, has come about because of this combination only. Pakshajam He. Whatever is direct knowledge or cognition. Only those are the elements. Manam. You accept only those that you can perceive. Pakshajam, directly. Akasha, the fifth element, is not accepted by them because Akasha is not directly perceived by the Indriya. You have to infer it according to them. Therefore, these are the only four elements. And what about consciousness that you have? What about awareness? This has come about as a product of the combination of the four elements. And to give that, they give a example. But before that, so he says, Prithvyadi bhuta samhatyam tatha dehadi sambhavaha. Prithvyadi bhuta samhatyam. This Prithvyadi, aggregate of it, tatha dehadi sambhavaha, because of which this body is possible. How has it come about, if you ask the question? Now he gives a very beautiful example. Mada Shaktihi Surangebhyaha. Mada Shaktihi Surangebhyaha. He says, just as in the next text that we see, we will see this example in details. But for now, Mada Shakti means intoxicating capacity. Shakti, intoxicating capacity that comes about because of the combination of a few elements. By themselves, they don't have the Mada Shakti. There are seeds, there is sugar, there is water. They themselves don't intoxicate. But when they are combined together, it brings about the capacity to intoxicate. Mada Shakti is now there in this samuha of products. So he says, Yat Vat, in the same manner. Tat Vat. Asthitaha Atma. Atma has also come about in the same way. Yatvat. Just as intoxicating capacity has come about by the combination of these elements, in the same way, Tatvat, in the same manner, Atma has come about by the combination of the four elements. Then he says, Tasmat. What is the Charvaka really declaring? He says it is stupid, it is foolish to go after something which is not pratyaksham. Tasmat, therefore, drishta parityagaha adrishte cha pravartanam lokasya tat vimudhatvam charvakaha pratipedire. Therefore, tasmat drishta parityaga adrishte cha pravartanam. He says, well, you are giving up what is there as drishtam and you are pursuing something which is adrishtam. Who does that? He says, in the world, lokasya tat vimudhatvam. Those are the vimudhas, wrong thinking people who do this, giving up what is there in front and taking up something which is adrishtam, spending their life for that. This is mudhaha. Charvakaha pratipedire. This is how the Charvakas say. It is therefore foolish to give up the drishta pursuits pleasures, which and follow the adrishtam. Then he says, okay, this will cover later on. Then he concludes, lokayata mate api evam sankshepaha ayam niveditaha abhidheya tatparyarthaha paryalochyah subuddhibhihi. He says, the author is saying, I am summarizing these verses of the Loka Ayata Matam so that the people can discern by knowing what is called the Charavaka thinking. So this is the first book, Haribhadra Suri. We'll take the same thing now from the next book, which is also same points but presented in a little more detailed manner, so you get a complete vision of what it is. Yeah, we can see Charavaka Darshanam. Now this is from the Sarva Darshana Sangraha of Sayana Madhavacharya. Again, I'm not going into those details. They're all there in public domain. One can always check them. Now here Charvak starts with an invocation first to Ishvara. And then he himself says, he builds up his introduction to say, why talk about Ishvara when it is not seen? Who says this? He says, Charvaka try to establish this. And what are they saying? Same, we have done this, Yavat Jivam, that premise they hold. Iti loka gatham anurundhana niti kama shastra anusarena artha kamo eva purusharthaha manyamanaha. So according to them, artha and kama are the only purusharthas that have to be followed. And paralaukikam, artham, you have to give it up, whatever is paralaukik. Then he says, to explain the four elements, prithvyadi bhutani chatvari tatvani, tebhya ev deha akara parinatebhyah kinvadibhyah mada shaktivat. So what are those seeds? Kinva adi. It's a particular kind of a hemp, or I don't know what particular seeds they are. I did write, but I don't know where it is now. Those combinations of things that do not intoxicate, kinva adibhya mada shaktivat chaitanyam uppajayate. That is how chaitanyam comes in the body, just as mada shakti, capacity to intoxicate, comes by the combination of these which otherwise do not hold the capacity to intoxicate. So Chaitanyam is a byproduct. Chaitanyam that you experience as consciousness, as awareness, is not self-existent. According to them, it is produced, it comes about, it is a byproduct of the combination of the four elements. They also quote the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and in a wrong way, because Shankaracharya corrects it in the Bhashyam later. Tat Chaitanya Vishishtaha Deha Eva Atma. That what has come about specifically in the combination of the four elements alone is called Atma. That is it. There is nothing else that is Atma. That is Deha based. Deha atirakte Atmani pramana abhavat. There is no pramanam that other than this body, there is something called Atma. Body is Atma. There is something other than body There is no pramanam for it. There is no proof of it. Pratyaksha eka pramana vaditaya. They only accept pratyaksha eka pramana. They negate all other pramanas like anumana, arthapatti, upamana, shabda. They negate all of them. So he says, ekameva pramanam asti. That's another distinct feature of these people. Whatever is seen, contactable, alone is real. This is their premise. And then, so here it is said, kinva. It is a kind of an aushadhi or a bead. Difficult to say the words. You can read it, I think, from where the alcohol is made. And in their prakritis avastha, madaka shakti is not them. It is not there. But when they come together, the madakta arises, and in the same way, Prithvi, Vayu, etc. Chaitanya is not there, but the Vikara Rupa, Sharir is a Vikara of the four elements, therefore Chaitanyam is born. It rises now, there is Chaitanya. Then they say now, in this book he's specified this particular thing, what he said, just eat and drink in the simple ways. He says, what is Sukh? He says, Anganadi Alinganadi Janyam Sukhameva Purusharthaha. There is only one Purushartha, and that is Sukham, to pursue Sukham, and defines Sukham as what? Whatever is contacted by the senses, sense contact pleasure, sense pleasure alone is Sukham. And here he says Anga, Anganadi, Linganadi. So, whatever contact with, say, Bhogya Vastu, here he gives the example, like enjoying with a woman, etc. That alone is Sukha Purushartha. Nothing else is qualifying to be called as Sukh. So, Atma is Ananda Swarupa, forget about it. There is only one source of pleasure. And that source of pleasure is when the senses come in contact with their sense objects, pleasure is experienced. That is only to be pursued. Make it a pursuit, he says. You have to go after Sukham. And then he gives very interesting counter perspective. He says you do not find anyone in the world giving up something because it has dukkha in it. You do not give up the sukha, you should not give up the sukha because it has dukkha in it. And the example he gives is dhanyarthi, sapalala lani, dhanyani aharati. He says, just as before that, he gives a Matsyarthi. He gives the example, he says, eat fish. How do you eat? Because it gives pleasure, eat fish. But when you eat fish, you automatically remove the scales or the bones. Whatever is giving dukh is anyway we remove it. We don't consume that because it gives us dukh. But who will give up eating because a fish has scales or bones? So what is the way to have pleasure? He says, you find it anyway in us that you give up what is causing dukh. Automatically you discard it. You leave it behind. And you take what is to be consumed, what gives you pleasure. And the second reason he gives is, he says, when you bring rice, when you have rice with the husk, you remove away the husk part and you consume the rice. Who, he says, would give up dukkha bhayat? out of the fact that it gives, have the fear that this will give dukkham, na anukula vedaniyam sukham tyaktum uchitam. He said, it's not uchit, it's not proper that you give up what is the proper sukh that you can experience out of a fear that this has dukh in it. Therefore, enjoy. And he gives another further example of it. He says, Nahi mrigaha santi iti shalyo na upayante. Nahi bhikshukaha santi iti sthalyo na adhishriyante. He says, it's interesting, because there are deer in the forest, nobody gives up sowing their grain, because the deer, with the fear that the deer will eat them. Mrigaha santi, oh, there are deers, there's deer in the forest, therefore I will not sow my grain. Nobody does that. Also, nahi bhikshukaha santi, oh, there are bhikshus around. That means they will come and ask for sthalyaha. They'll ask for rice. They will come and ask. Therefore, na adhishriyante. Therefore, I will not put my cooking vessel itself to cook, because of the fear that there are bhikshukaha around. Somebody will come and ask. Therefore, I will not cook. Does anybody do that? He says, Yadi kashchit bhiruhu drishtam sukham tyajet tarhi sa pashuvat murkhaha bhavet. If someone is doing that, he says, then like a pashu, he is also murkhaha, like an animal. I hope this is clear so far. It's going okay. So he gives in the next verse, you can write in the meantime while I continue. Tyajyam sukham vishaya sangam ajanma pumsam. He says, you never see, that introduction is in this verse. You never see that for the sake of perceiving a future difficulty or ingrained difficulty, you stop pursuing happiness. So he says, despite that, just remove whatever is not to be taken, remove it and fill yourself. Voshana, okay, enjoy thoroughly. And then he says, now he is condemning the Vedas completely. He says, Paralaukika sukha abhave. There is nothing like a paraloka sukha. Nanu, if someone says, for the sake of paraloka sukha, Agnihotradi is to be done. Should we not be doing it for the sake of paraloka? If someone asks, he says, no. No. Why? Because there is no pramanam for it. Plus, there will be some dosha he's going to talk about. So, he's just refuting completely Agnihotram Trayo Vedaha Tridandam Bhasmagunthanam Buddhi Paurushahinanam Jiviketi Brihaspatihi. That is where the confusion comes. He says, what do these people do? Agnihotram Trayaha Vedaha Tridandam. These three dandis means these priest class, these sannyasis. What do? They talk about, they lure people. Do Agnihotra, you will get this phalam in the future, etc. Bhasma Gunthanam. He says, the ones who put bhasma, so all these, he's calling them as fake. Bhasma laga ke, bringing people to do this. But why are they doing it? to attract buddhi paurusha heenanam. These people are actually without buddhi. Those who do this means those who are luring people into Agnihotra or prescribing Agnihotra or teaching them about karmas and dharmas and these people are actually without buddhi, and they have no paurushayam, means they have no capacity to pursue their happiness. They have no capacity. Let's put it this way. They cannot pursue their happiness. So why do they do this? Jivika iti, for their livelihood. Oh, this Brahaspati does it for that reason, he says. Iti, in this manner, the Brahaspati is saying, Laukika Sukh is the only Sukh that you should enjoy, and Paralaukika Sukh. When people are telling you pursue it, those people are only exactly like that wolf, paw of a wolf. They are only correct. Absolutely right. Mimi. So they are only trying to tell people that do not believe in anything that the Vedas are talking about, and there is a whole lot of explanation there behind. Then further they say, Ishvara Moksha Atma, regarding that, they say, Kantaka Adi Janyam Dukkhameva Narakaha. So what Vedas will talk as you will get a future pain. They said there is nothing called pain in the future as hell and all those things. Kantakadi Janyam. When you get pinpricks or you hurt yourself, those things itself are the causes of dukkham. They alone are naraka. So while you're conducting your life and you get this little, some cut, or you get some accident, or whatever pain you are experiencing here at the sensory level, that itself is naraka. There is no other narakam. Who is Raja? Who is Parameshwara? Who is Ishvara? Loka Siddha Raja itself is Parameshwara. So your king, especially in those days, there were only kings. Kings were considered to be Ishvara. So he's repeating that. That Ishvara is Adhyaropitam? No. King itself, Loka Siddha, it is established in the world that this Raja itself is Parameshwara. What is moksha? Moksha is deha, when you give up this body. Deha chedaha mokshaha. Moksha is when the body is gone. That is the death of the body is moksha. That's it. And then what about this I am the body? Deha atma vade. When you are identified with the body, sthulaha aham, krishaha aham, krishnaha aham, ityadi samanadi karanya upapattihi. Because it is resting on, these qualities are resting on the body, they are the qualities of the body, therefore having the same adhikaranam, atma is having the same adhikaranam as the body, therefore you get the knowledge of I am this body, sthulaha aham, I am this krishaha aham, krishna, I am white, I am black, means I am white, fair, I am dark, etc. I am fat, I am thin, etc. Mama shariram iti vyavharaha rahoho shraha ityadi vada aupacharikaha. Rahoho Mama Shariram. If you say this is my Sharir, because Vedanta builds a lot of logic on it, Mama Sharir gives it the objectivity. He says this is just like Raho Shiraha, head of what was that? Raho Shiraha, Rahu Pisir hai. It's just an aupcharika way of saying Mama Sharira. It is not in the literal sense. The literal sense is whatever are the qualities of the body, you are that. You experience only that. That's it. So That is the way it is. So now what is the tat etat sarvam samagra ahi? So these few verses are just giving the synopsis of this mata. So what is the sukham angani lingani janyam? Is sukham eva. Kantakadi janyam dukhaha. Nothing else. Lokasiddha bhavet raja. There is para ishaha na aparaha. There is no ishaha, nothing aparaha. Dehasya nashaha muktihi. Mukti is when the body dies. Na jnanan muktihi ishyate. Do not desire mukti through knowledge. Jnanat muktihi na ishyate. Do not fall for it. Do not develop a desire for knowledge. Because jnana se mukti hoegi. Do not think like that. Atra here, Chatvari Bhutani Bhumihi Vayu Anilaha. Chaturbhyaha Khalu Bhutebhyaha Chaitanyam Upajayate. So the four elements and the Chaitanyam is born from there. Kinvadibhyaha Sametebhyaha Dravyebhyaha Madashaktivat. So Kinvadi, etc. The seeds coming together. Madashakti is born. In the same way, aham sthulaha krishaha asmi iti samana adhikaranyataha. That is it. That I am the qualities of the body. I am the same because Atma is got the adhikaranam in the body. It's resting on the body. It's a byproduct of the body. Therefore, dehaha sthaulya adi yogacha saha eva atma nacha aparaha. Don't think Atma is other than the body. Deha itself is the Atma. Mama deham iti uktihi sambhavet aupchariki. It is only aupcharika vakyam that mama buddhihi. And then there is some little details about, because they only accept pratyaksha, they are dismissing anumana, they are dismissing shabda, they will dismiss all other means of valid knowledge, which other schools will keep building upon one at a time. So here he is giving the final conclusion at the end, after all this, that there are no other praman except pratyaksha. This is all the details for that. And there is no means of knowledge other than your indriya. Your indriyas are the only means of knowledge. And then these are all vyapti. Then those who know nyaya, it helps after you know nyaya darshan. So this is the counter of nyaya. Therefore, I'm skipping that part. And then vyapti jnana. Oh. Then he says, that is it. So this Charvaka Mata Sara, bringing the essence of the Charvaka Mata, according to this author, Madhavacharya, Sayana Madhavacharya, na swargoha, na apavargaha, na eva atma paralaukikaha. I'm sure you're following it. There is no swarga, there is no apavarga, there is nothing to go beyond, there is no atma, there is no paraloka, there is no naiva varna ashramadinam kriyaha cha, there is no karma based on varna ashrama, etc. Phaladik that will give different phalas. Agnihotram trayaha, vedaha tridandam bhasma gunthanam. So these people are fake. They are, I can't get the right word on my tongue. They are imposters who are just for their livelihood, you know. And you find this in the world a lot of times. They are just using this. They have in fact created this, is the point I missed saying in the last time. They have created, just as that person created the paw of the wolf. These people have created this whole literature of Agnihotra, etc. अपने आप ही इन्होंने बना दिया, so that they will get you to follow it. And he gives a very strange logic here. He says if Jyotishtoma, etc. karma, he is refuting the karma kand. If by giving Jyotishtoma karma, by doing that, Swargam you will get when you do this karma, then why does Yajama, and you do the bali of the Pashu, Anhitaha, Swapita, why does he not then kill his own father, Swapita, Yajamanena, the one who's worshipping, because then the father will straight away go to heaven. So this kind of a logic they come up with. Vritanam api jantunam shradham. So he's discarding the entire karma kand and he gives reasons for it. And therefore, he says, here again, there's a repetition of these points. At the end again, yavat jivet, sukham jivet, rinam kritva, kritam pidet, etc. So he says, he says if people really go to another loka, then when they have affection for people who are left behind, why don't they come back? In other words, his idea of coming back is coming back in the same body. So I think we have covered the basic points. This concludes it now. And this is how Charavaka presents believes it. Now, 2 minutes extra I'll take to conclude. The idea is this just simply to say that it is a heterodox school? Heterodox opposite is orthodox. Orthodox means the Veda school, follower of the Veda, the 6 schools that accept what is written in the Vedas. They are given the term orthodox. These are all wrong terms actually. Followers of Vedas are Astikas. So therefore to say that this is heterodox means they created this system of knowledge to not follow the Vedas because there is kleshaha, and a common man also probably faces, in those days especially, did face a lot of difficulty. Therefore, it is more of a counter perspective, where Buddhist talks about, there is this, calls it as Vitanda Jalpa. That Buddhist school, Buddhasago, he calls the Charvaka school as a Vitanda Jalpa. Vitanda Jalpa means the one who will just say for the sake of refuting. He will just say it for the sake of just for the sake of creating this conversation. He says it very well because other schools have understood this a lot deeper because they go against basic siddhant of every other school. So he says, Buddhisago, the 5th century Theravada Buddhist, he's a commentator on Buddhism. He spread Buddhism a lot. He says Charvakas are Vitandavada Sattam. They hold their Satta only as a Vitandavada. And what is Vitandavada? It is a Nyaya Sutra defines Vitanda as tricky discussion, Jalpa, just for the sake of prattle. Jalpa means prattling, blabbering, intended to only criticize opponents without establishing any counter thesis. Pratipakshavada, countering it, they don't have. So it is mere conversational talk only. Vitanda Sallapa. Baat karna, that's it. Katha. That is all it is Vitanda Sallapa Katha, mere conversational talk. And then there is this, just a little Charvak, where is the etymology coming from? And that's very common. Charu Vaka, pleasing sounds, and chewing, Charvadhatu, to chew. Pipakhadana Varalochane, whatever is superior. Varalochane means whatever your eyes can see as, or whatever your senses can perceive as superior, enjoy it. That's it. This summarizes their of thought. So now, is it just an heterodox school? Just come about like that? Or is it how, absolutely, how it is by default a thinking that is available to every human being? We find ourselves attracted to sense pleasures, and that recognition is like a Charvaka Matam. So, for Siddhant to enter in our life, for Vedanta Siddhant to enter in our life, this Charvaka Matam is one of the pakshas that we face in the world. Ourselves also. When our mind goes away into different areas of enjoyments, believing, and then you have people in the world saying these things. The idea of this talk today was that we are able to probably now onwards at least, identify a thinking and understand that this is perhaps the basic nature, because it gravitates to that what is easy to follow. For all other concepts, you really need, and as Shruti is correct mentioning, you need a lot of Shraddha, you need a lot of education, you need the company of the right people, you need to have that exposure, that samskritata, making yourself an educated person when you follow this. So, I am concluding to say, Charavaka is a fundamental, basic cognitive capacity, what we can first gather and have for ourselves. Is this authoritative? When we start questioning it, if it looks authoritative, then we are not moving to question it. If we start questioning it, we start moving to the other schools of thought one at a time and keep seeing the flaw of it. Finally comes Vedanta, which covers all other very subtle points to bring the cognition of the world. What is its source? Me, what is my source? What is the gati? Etc., etc., etc. So with this, I conclude the talk. I think I have covered most of the points. If you have any question, you can quickly write here. Guys, we will end the class. So, Hari Om everybody. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham purnam bhavatu. Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramayaha. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukha bhag bhave. I forgot to record the session. I hope that the YouTube will keep it there. Well, if it doesn't, we'll have another session. But my apologies. I don't know how it slipped my mind to record. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. May the Anugraha of Ishvara in the form of knowledge be with us. Namaste.